Well, this past Monday, my mother died. She'd had, well, she's older and has had health problems, and see the cat fur. I'm sure I'm going to be invaded by one of these cats soon enough. She had pneumonia a couple weeks ago, a little longer than that, almost 3 weeks ago, and was in the hospital. And I asked him point blank, should I call my sister who lives in California, tell her to come and see her? They said, no, absolutely not. She's going to be fine. But then she went home and she wouldn't rest. She had lots of visitors and wanted to socialize and wasn't eating and wasn't sleeping and deteriorated very quickly. It was really, really fast. She told my sister to come visit. My sister came Sunday morning about 8 o'clock Sunday night. She said, I think I'd like to go to bed. I'm a little tired. And they went to check on her around about midnight, and she was sort of convulsing, not quite like seizing, but just shaking really badly. And so but I mean, up to that point, she had been lucid and, laughing and conversing and being a social butterfly. And so they took her in, and I got the call at 7 that said, she's in here. I got there at 8:05. She died at 8:50. And it was incredibly, well, they describe it as peaceful. It was quiet. I didn't even notice. I was there reading to her and sort of stroking her hair. Didn't even notice it happen. So the couple weeks previous had been very difficult for me. I mean, you'd think I'd be totally used to this by now. But so many people, everybody wanted to visit her. She had all these nurses, all these everything, and it's like, okay, well, I guess you don't want me here, My mother was always, the type of person that, she could be having a conversation, be mid-sentence, somebody call her, she'd take the call and would sit there and immediately have a 40-minute phone call with, conversation, and just drop the first person they were talking that was sitting in front of her, because anything new is better than, I don't know what the hell she was doing. But that was one of the things, is that while she was getting sicker, she had this friend who kept telling everybody that she was a former nurse. Well, she's a former nurse. That means that she's not practicing anymore. And that if she tried to practice, then it's legal. But she was there all the time ministering to my mother. And among the things that she did was, my mother actually had difficulty swallowing at the end. She was dehydrated, and she had a nurse that would come over and would tell her, this is what you need to do. And the nurse kept changing things around. And so, the day before she died, she's sitting there looking at these pills that she's supposed to take, and she's saying that they're wrong. And you know what? My mother was right. The nurse had switched stuff around on her. And so she was like, I can't take this. It's wrong. It's the wrong pills. And, she still needed to take them. And it would have taken her a real long time to take them all anyway, because, again, problem swallowing. So I, got down in front of her and said, why don't you take the ones that for sure you can take, and then, your nurse will be here in an hour. You can double check it. And this woman, grabbed my arm and then started yelling at my mother that I had no right to change anything, and that she needed to follow what the nurse told her, and that she needed to take all her pills immediately. And I just turned around and looked at her and said, "You better take your hand off me right now." And it was ridiculous. And then, she actually did. I have so many freaking relatives. I mean, this is a problem. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want anything to do with them. It was so hard to be there at all with them because they just wanted to yap and they wanted a hug and I'm like, I don't want to have any kind of conversation with any of them because, come on now, wasn't there for them, and I couldn't care less about whatever they wanted to talk about. I was there to make sure that my mother was eating, etc., and that she had what she needed to have, and that was it. I was not there to talk. So they, of course, think I'm a bitch from hell. And then, but one of my cousins is a nurse, and this fabulous friend of my mother's that was yelling at me, I can't tell you how many times. I mean, like 5 or 6 times in like 3 days. It's kind of amazing I didn't just walk out or call the police. Believe me, I was thinking about it, and have her removed, but my mother didn't tell her to leave. So anyway, she accused my cousin, who is a nurse, of stealing my mother's medications. I'm like, are you serious? Oh, she was horrible, and she just kept popping up like a bad penny, and had to deal with her. I mean, I didn't really, I guess, have to, but the alternative was to turn around and walk out. And the judgment of the people, that was the other thing that she wanted. She was like, I should stay there overnight. I'm like, that's not going to happen. No way in hell. Sorry, but I have my own son, who is autistic, and he comes first, and that's it. And, whatever this Miss Crackpot wants to do, stay overnight at my mother's if she's hasn't thrown her out yet, that's fine, but there's no way that I'm going to do it. Nobody's going to guilt trip me into it, tell me what to do. Oh, it's awful. I don't know. It was just awful. All the nurses, all the relatives, everybody. And then, plus, of course, there's a reason that I'm avoidant. Oh, I think I won this game. Yeah, I just won it. Does that mean I get to end the video? There's a reason I have avoidant personality disorder. My mother is, apparently, according to all of the things I've read about her lately, she was the greatest thing since sliced bread to everybody on the planet, but she wasn't to me. She treated me like I was, and a servant or something. And she resented being old, and she resented being sick, and she resented having to go to the doctors, etc. And she would definitely take it out on me. And so it was difficult to... Sorry, I'm trying to do this with one hand. It's not close enough. This will be awful, but whatever. So she just... Actually, one of the weirdest things I can understand, she wanted... She didn't want to be dependent on anybody. So she wanted me to pretend like, and she would, I mean, she actually say this outright. She wanted me to pretend that anything she asked me, you know, it was a gift to be able to do it for her. That it was the greatest thing, and that I didn't have anything else I wanted to do, and wasn't it the greatest that she gave me this thing to do, you know? And I'm like, oh my God. You know, she would, I can't tell you how many times I was in the ER sitting with her, and I'm supposed to pretend like, yeah, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and like, the greatest day of my life, I was given the opportunity to come and sit in an ER. I mean, seriously, she was quite demanding right up to the end, and right up to the end, she treated everybody else like gold, and she treated me like crap. And so it's actually really hard to read, you know, things, because it's in it. On the one hand, I'm like, thank God they're all leaving me alone, but on the other hand, like, one of my father's sisters contacted me when she found out. And other than that, nobody in my family has gotten in touch with me. My family, nobody has gotten in touch with me to say, hey, even though I was there all the time. That is a double-edged sword. And like I said, on one hand, I'm like, thank God. On the other, holy shit. You know, because on top of everything else, my sister was here. She lives in California, and I'm on the East Coast, and she, as soon as my mother died, decided that she wanted to be drunk, and that was it. My sister is an active alcoholic. She didn't want anything to do with it, and she completely left and refuses to be an adult about it at all. And left it all to me, and that includes my mother's apartment. And the place that my mother lived, this is insane, that this is God's honest truth, had a policy that when somebody died, you had 24 hours before they changed the locks. And I know this is a fact because I saw one of my mother's neighbors had died, and they changed the locks and left everything, including a cat inside, and that people were listening to the cat cry for 2 whole days before they, you know, no food, no anything, before they came to clean out the apartment. It's awful. So I knew they were going to do this to my mother's apartment, so I had to, and my mother was, I mean, she was a hoarder and a pack rat. She had so much shit. It was unbelievable. I mean, she had 4 blenders, for Christ's sake. She had everything. And I had to do it all. And then also, of course, get demands from people about, well, I want this, and I want this, and I want this. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't care. And I had, well, the nurse cousin was freaking out over the pills. My mother also hoarded her pills. The oldest prescription I found was for my father, from 1982. I had an entire toolbox, and not a small one, a big toolbox full of pills, and I wanted them out of there because I didn't want to be responsible for them, etc. And my cousin, of course, fresh from being accused of taking my mother's pills, because what you do is you have to take them to a police station to get rid of them. She was like, well, you can't take those. I mean, some of those are heavy duty pills. You can't take them by yourself. I mean, I was like sitting there going, what, you think I'm going to take them all? You think I'm going to sell these suckers? What? And so I kept wanting to try to get them out of there, and she wouldn't let me. She was literally barring the way. And you know what? I had 24 hours to clear out the apartment. So I was like, fine, whatever. I'll just do something else. And then I had other people come over, and they're like, they just wanted to stand and talk about her. And I'm like, no, I've got to work. I can't do this. I can't stand and talk about anybody. And, you know, getting in my way and not letting me get anything done. I'm like, oh my God, get out. Just, get out. That was there were 2 times I absolutely lost my mind. That was one, and the other was because oh no, I thought I lost this game. Not yet. My son had a prescription that ran out. And, well, it's a long story, but insurance is stupid, and, his doctor was not available, and trying to get the people, I did lose the game, trying to get the people that covered, it's horrible. So this one, and it was totally stupid. Every time I had a call out, they were like, okay, what's the prescription? I'm like, the one that ran out. They're like, I need the name. I'm like, well, call a pharmacy. Oh, I won't call a pharmacy. And I was like, lost it. I'm like, my mother just died. My son needs these pills. You need to find a way to get me these pills. And it wouldn't have been that bad, except this is like the 4th month in a row that we've had this problem. There's just like a massive communication problem with his doctor's office. It's really annoying. So that's the 2 times I lost it to people. I've been remarkably patient. First of all, there's a massive distraction of having to completely empty an apartment. On my own, because actually the person who helped the most was my father. My father has Alzheimer's. He was really upset about this. He really wanted to be over there, and I was like, okay, whatever, come on over. And actually, he did the best of everybody because all he did was take bags of trash and take them out over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So he spent an entire day moving bags of trash, and he did great. Alzheimer's, without a doubt, he was the person that helped the most, which is weird as hell, but whatever. That's life. Give him a task, and he did it, and that was it. He didn't really have to think, so he just did it, and he wasn't like these vultures in my family that are just like, well, I want this. I literally, so my mother was cremated, and I had to get her ashes, and I literally had one of my cousins say, do you want me? I'll take the ashes. I'm like, are you fucking insane? Are you crazy? You must be nuts. What? Such an intense, people are like, okay, like they somehow know, like the only things that would be of anything to anybody, and they don't really want to have them. Like one of the kids she babysat when she was a little kid once, and keeps hounding me, wants the cookbook that she used to cook from. And I'm like, what, are you insane? You think that I'm just gonna give you, who is not a relative, the cookbook with all the recipes in it? Never. No way. What the hell? Why would you even think and imagine that anybody would give that to you? I don't get it. I don't get these people and how bizarre. So we're not having a funeral because my uncle is a Salvation Army officer, pretty high-ranking Salvation Army officer, and my sister is very big on social media and sending out the tweets and everything like that, and so she immediately didn't take a breath and sent out a tweet that she died. And my uncle, who my sister and I do not get along at all, and now I think we're really not going to get along. He sent her this, he must have written it up ahead of time. There's no way that anybody could write that fast. This dictation of exactly what she was supposed to do and what we were going to absolutely do concerning the funeral that, he said that I know that my mother didn't want it. my mother wanted to be cremated. She didn't want to be stuck in the ground. It's like, okay. She actually paid for the cremation ahead of time and everything, and had it all written out because she knew that the family would fight over it. Because that's the way they are. And he sent this thing. I mean, within 90 seconds of hearing that she died, he sent this whole dictation to my sister about exactly what she was required to do. They're disgusting. So, on the one hand, it's absolutely, completely awesome that I don't have to go through a funeral. On the other hand, I'm like, God damn, can't anybody in my family be decent for once? They won't do condolences. It's all about them, what they're going to get. Oh my God, and they're all freaking out about the money. My mother has no money at all. She was on Medicaid. She lived in subsidized housing. There's nothing. There's nothing at all. I'd be astounded. Maybe she's going to get like $200 for a security deposit back. That's about it. She doesn't have a life insurance. She doesn't have anything. There is no money. They're freaking out. The same cousin who was like, let me take her ashes, was like, I'll take all her finances. I'm like, hell no. What is wrong with you? You're not willing to do any of the real work. You're not showing up to actually help with, like, take the trash out or something like that. But, if there's money, maybe. Oh, yeah, money, money, money. Let me be involved in that. And then, actually, another one of my cousins, because I got, like, a million of them, my grandmother was the 13th of 16 children on my mother's side. And on my father's side, she was, oh God, I'm losing track. I think it was 9th of 11th. It was either 9th of 11th or 10th of 12th. Big, huge families. Too many cards. So I've got so many cousins, it's not even funny. And one of them came over and said, yeah, you should let him be the executor and take this over because, someday he might, be asked to do it and he should really learn how. I'm like, are you shitting me? I'm going to be at the whim of somebody who's just like a curiosity and like, no way in hell. I'm going to let somebody else. I have no idea what's going on. I mean, maybe there is. Maybe she does have, life insurance or something. If she does, I'm going to find out about it. My sister, who had no involvement whatsoever, absolutely flaked and took off. What she did do was she tried to go to the funeral. Well, no, first she tried to empty out my mother's bank account. And she couldn't because no death certificate. Then she went to the funeral home and tried to get a death certificate. My mother, knowing what a flake my sister is, made me the person who's in charge of her remains and death certificate. I'm the only one who can get it. I suppose I should take that as a compliment, huh? Maybe she did know something about us. I was the one that she ran down all the time, but anyway, that was great. Also, my mother's debit card is missing, so I'm pretty sure my sister took it and she might still be cleaning out her checking account, which I don't really. Again, I mean, if she had $1,000 in that account, I would be amazed. So whatever, who cares? But this is the thing. I mean, to deal with these people is unbelievable. And it's just people are crazy and nasty and horrible and selfish. And that's all there is to it. And I've lost another game. I think I should take this as a sign. So it is kind of odd and bittersweet, the contradicting things that you go through in this situation when you have avoidant personality disorder. On the one hand, I want them to leave me the hell alone. And on the other hand, come on, like, I know because I've seen it, that they're absolutely, all over my sister. poor thing, her mother died. My sister hasn't even seen my mother for like 5 years. You know, I'm the one that was in the ER with her every goddamn month, sometimes 4 or 5 times a month, but whatever. I don't count. I don't know. It's just, you know, it is the greatest thing ever that I don't have to go through a funeral. Let me tell you, although actually it's kind of hilarious. I think I'm actually going to do it. Because there's no funeral and they know it. My mother's friends are throwing a Valentine's Day party in her honor. And we might show up to that for 5 minutes and then leave. Who knows? Maybe I'll bring the ashes. Kidding. But it hasn't hit me at all. I've been going gangbusters. I don't know what's going to happen when it does. I know that it's a massive conflicting sort of situation when this happened. Because up here comes the cat. And I got another one on the bed already, so they're gonna have a fight in about 5 seconds. Again. Yeah, I hear you huffing. Okay, not huffing, sneezing. Because it is kind of a relief, and then it's kind of guilt-inducing that it's a relief, and then it means that there's really, truly no chance that it could have gotten better. There's always this disgusting, vile hope under everything that maybe she's going to come to her senses. You know, like my father, when he started getting, you know, Alzheimer's symptoms, that's when he stopped trying to be violent with me. And I can really seriously date it that the last time he tried to hit me was when he started getting sick. And that sounds vile, but that is the truth. Is that maybe she would have done the same thing, but nope. And she took up a ton of my time. These two are going to try and kill each other. And now I'm going to have this, like, you know, other people will be like, woohoo, I can go do what I want to do. And I'm like, what is that? You know, and then my son, he's graduating high school this year too. So it's like, okay, that's 2 out of 3 done. And then my father is probably going to be in a home. And then I'll be all by myself. And I'll have no obligations, which on the one hand is very good. On the other hand is very not good for someone with avoidant personality disorder. But whatever. So it's, I don't know how this is going to be. If I'll, I don't know. I've been very stoic and focused on getting the damn jobs done. And as of right now, they are. Except, I do her taxes and all the rest of the financials. But that's going to be a pain in the ass because my sister is still on her little drunk bender. And I don't know how long that's going to last. And everything has to be signed by both of us. And she's on the other end of the country. So actually, I think that the next step is to get a lawyer. But whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what happens next after this. Because emotionally, without a doubt, my mother was the number one worst sort of abuser. It's hard for me still to say that word, but that's what it is. It's abuser. See, there's one cat there, and there's one cat there, and they're gonna kill me. But when they start talking, when they realize and get annoyed with each other, because they don't like being around each other. Anyway, you know, I will never have, I'll never have to deal with her abuse ever again. And also, I'll never get a chance of her not being abusive. So, missed opportunity. Oh well. You know, she was hypercritical to me right up to the end. Oh well. And I dealt with all the people. And thank God, like I said, I mean, it's gross, but I'm kind of really grateful I don't have to do a funeral. That would suck. You know, so I suspect probably by Monday I will never hear again from anybody about my mother at all. Which again, you know, that's just rude. But also, thank God, I won't be hearing it from anybody because they're all rude. These major giant conflicts, I don't know. I'm not letting it bother me. I'm not trying to figure it out. But I think that once it sort of sinks in that everything's done, like I got the apartment cleared up, I got everything like physically done that I needed to do with her. What's left is the finances. So I really, you know, in that months and months before I have to do something with that. So maybe not having this massive distraction of a massive, huge job, maybe will hit me like a brick. I don't know. It could be very, very good that I don't have her being so critical. And even when she isn't critical, it's in the back of my head that she's going to hear about something I've done and be so critical. I'm never going to have to deal with that again. But then again, you know, and also I won't have to go to the ER all night, every day, take her to doctor's appointments and all that crap. Won't have to do that again anymore. That's good. But yeah, might be boring not doing that. Christ, I might have to get a life. And it is sort of like that. I'd have to do it as opposed to, yay, I get to do that. But I think that's pretty common too, so. I don't know how long. Well, I'm going to put this damn video up. Actually, this is the third time I tried to tape it. I'm going to put it up, but I don't know how long I'm going to keep it up because it seems to me like I'm like begging for sympathy. That's not what I'm doing at all.